Hey guys, Tarke here, and I'm very relieved to say I've managed to get my PC working again. So with that in mind, it's time to talk about returning back to content as usual for Path of Exile, for Baeclasts, for other podcast series, game reviews, and all of that good stuff. So, if you somehow missed it, my graphics card died, which is why I've been making silly little short phone videos for the last week. Thank you for your patience through all of that, and if that's okay, I would like to request just a little bit more patience, because I'm in hospital on the 7th, so I'm planning on doing a full return proper on the 8th, with more silly short form content in between. I'll explain why I'm in hospital at the end of the video, nothing you need to be worried about, boring stuff, but it will just make a lot more sense at the end. But let's get into my content plans for when I do come back proper. So I'm going to be doing the SSF Bow series continuation. I will do a video kind of recapping everything that's happened so far, and establishing our clear goals for the remainder of the series so that we have a clear point to all come together, myself very much included, re-get our bearings of things, and then doing daily updates on the character, crafting goals, showing how to progress through the Atlas, bossing stuff, making your own gear on SSF, and just continuing forwards. If you've missed it, I have a playlist with all the previous videos there already. Baeclasts. Funnily enough, we actually had a Baeclast scheduled for the 26th of Feb, and then things broke, so we didn't lock that in, obviously. Now that I've got a working PC again, one of my first priorities was going to be getting that up and running again. Patreon people, massive apologies to the people who support me on Patreon, also massive thank you to people who support me on Patreon. Part of my Patreon stuff is I do build reviews, and that involves a lot of Path of Building stuff, which surprisingly I haven't been able to do because I haven't had a PC, I haven't been able to look at paste bins and everything. Now I've got a PC working again, the first thing I do when I start recording this video is going to be diving into my Patreon, catching up on my backlog. So if you've been waiting patiently, I apologize, I'm going to be getting that done immediately, and if you've been holding out and sending me any review stuff, I'll be getting on that straight away, so feel free to submit any reviews if you've been holding out. Outside of Baeclasts, one thing I've been looking to do this league, and I spoke about this before in a previous video, is doing more interviews with game developers. I've done, obviously, quite a few with grinding games over Path of Exile, and I've done a couple of one-off indie dev interviews. I made a video talk about this before the league started, had a lot of interest in it from both indie devs and you guys, and I had about 6 or 7 people in the end reach out to me who were at various stages of making or have past made video games. And we said we'd get back to each other around week 3, week 4 of the league and start locking in some interviews. Well, guess what? We're around that point of the league. I've got a working PC again, so I'm going to start locking those interviews and hopefully get those coming out on the channel in the coming weeks. Also, I want to do a couple of game reviews, or not necessarily straight game reviews, but game reviews of games which aren't Path of Exile, and tying in their like game design choices into PoE, because I always find it interesting. When I play games that aren't PoE, it makes me think about the things I like and dislike about PoE a lot. So those games are going to be Pokemon Legends Arceus. I haven't had a working PC, been doing a lot of console gaming on the Switch and the PlayStation 4, and Elden Ring. I think I've got some quite interesting things to say about Elden Ring as someone who didn't usually enjoy FromSoft games. I really enjoyed Dark Souls 1, then didn't really get on with Dark Souls 2, 3, or Sekiro. A lot of that is to do with streaming versus not streaming, but that's all stuff I'll save for that video. But very long story short, I think I've got some interesting things to say there. I think people find that stuff kind of interesting. So now let's explain why I'm planning on coming back on the 8th and what's this whole deal with hostile stuff on the 7th. Apologies to people who've heard this a million times before, but long story short, if you follow my channel for any length of time, you know I have Crohn's disease, very boring autoimmune disease. I have it treated with 8 weekly infusions and medication I take daily. At the end of last year, in December, when I had my last infusion, I was told I had lost funding for my infusions. What the infusions do is they are an immune suppressant. I have an autoimmune disease. You suppress my immune system, better manages the disease. The treatment is called infliximab. It's quite expensive, and on the NHS, the way it works is they'll give it to you, but you need to prove that you need it, sort of thing. So because that treatment was keeping my Crohn's in remission, stopping it from being really bad, the hospital couldn't justify to the NHS accountants that I needed it, because the accountants would be like, why are you giving this expensive medication to this guy? His health is well managed. And the hospital's like, well, his health is well managed because of this expensive treatment. And accountants are like, nah, screw that. So they pulled me off it. if I had stayed on them, I should have had my last infusion around the 15th of February. Infusions are every 8 weeks, and I usually notice a decline in my health about a week before. So that was been around the 10th of February. I have noticed that, and I haven't had an infusion since then. While this whole period of like being pulled off my medication's been going on, I've been fighting against it quite a lot in the background. Lots of conversations with my consultants at the hospital, having to go in for blood tests, biopsies, stool samples, all that fun stuff, you know, imaging, blah, 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 blah. And the good/bad news is, since I've not been on my medication, my Crohn's has gotten worse, which obviously boo, but also yay, because that was the proof I needed for the accountants, so now they're putting me back on my medication. So while I now feel really run down, I'm getting my stuff back, and on the 7th, I'm going into the hospital to have that infusion. Yay. Like at that point, 4 weeks overdue, so halfway into what would have been the next cycle. Very frustrating, but it's done now, it's over with. So because of that whole thing, it just made the most sense that since we've had this forced break from my graphics card dying, that rather than just like rushing back in and diving full into content while I'm not 100%, made more sense. Wait to have my infusion on the 7th, keep trickle feeding little bits of content between now and then, come back proper on the 8th, fit and healthy, or at least as fit as healthy as I ever am. So yes, thank you for your extended patience. Very frustrating, I know, but in a way it's probably been a bit of a blessing. The PC died after the initial league rush. If it had died at the start of the league, I'd have been absolutely screwed. But yeah, we managed to do a lot of the prime content for the league. I got to do a lot of stuff that I wanted to do. We got to have a lot of fun with it. And this forced break, in a way, has been a good thing because it stopped me from like going too hard and burning myself out physically and mentally while my body's been under a lot of pressure, not being on my medication. So it all kind of works out in a way kind of neatly. And yeah, so that's kind of that. So Patreon peeps, we're going to have you sorted. Apologies, thank you for your patience. Non-Patreon peeps, going to have you sorted content-wise. Thank you for your patience. Generally, just sorry that it had to happen like this. Is very frustrating. But it looks like everything is at least on the up and up now. We've got a working machine. We've got a new machine coming on the 23rd of this month. So if something happens with this one, if it gives out again, we have a whole new rig coming, which is very exciting. One thing which will be very exciting about having a new rig is it means that I'll be able to focus on improving the video quality of my Path of Exile gameplay. It's been looking very muddy for a couple of years now, and whenever I've tried to improve things, it's just made things worse, which kind of made sense from the point of view of having a dying graphics card. So yeah, so hopefully, since we're going from such a massive jump of an i7 1070 to an i9 3090, I hope I'm able to record some decent looking gameplay. But anyway, I'm Tarke. Thank you as always for your continued understanding. Looking forward to coming back proper soon. Looking forward to getting back into the SSF stuff. Looking forward to getting back into the Baeclasts stuff. And very excited for doing the indie dev interviews and talking a little bit about other games. Hope you're all doing well wherever you are in the world. There's a lot of stuff going on right now. So yeah, I hope you're safe. Hope you're doing well. I'm Tarke. Have a good day. Bye-bye.